We breaking bread, we breaking bread, we breaking bread, one conversation at a time. We breaking bread, we breaking bread, we breaking bread, one conversation at a time.
The Breaking Bread Village.
One conversation at a time.
The Breaking Bread Village.
One conversation at a time.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Breaking Bread Village. I'm really excited for everybody that is back with us today. So today we are going to talk about mindfulness. We're going to talk about dance and release. We're going to talk about open communication. Today I just really felt, I don't know, just the energy shift that's going on right now. A lot of people are very fatigued. And so last week we talked about mental health and gave some coping mechanisms and some different ways to kind of, identify people who may have some I don't know, they need to be tended to a little bit, and also ways to self help as well. So today I wanted to kind of extend that conversation into some other things that we can do, outside of, sometimes people use medication. Sometimes people use, they go to therapists, which is great to be able to talk. And I also want to do some more self-care techniques because it's a lot going on right now. And also, it's that seasonal time where people kind of get impacted by the season. So we're going to talk about that. So let me go ahead and bring on our guests for today. They can introduce themselves and we'll get started. Let me bring them both on first. Hey, welcome, ladies. How are you guys?
Awesome. Nice to see you.
Awesome. Good. So, Amy, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself first, and then Chanel, you can introduce yourself second.
Sure. Thank you.
You're
It's
welcome.
lovely to be here with both of you this evening. So my name's Amy Phoenix. I'm a mom of 5, and that's really what brought me into mindfulness, was just the varying dynamics of mothering and how it can be kind of stressful sometimes, probably depending on all personalities, but definitely mine. I'm a pretty sensitive person. And so I started practicing mindfulness about 13 years ago, and I was working with moms, giving them some support with breastfeeding and other parenting, challenges and discipline in that. And mindfulness has really been a huge game changer for me in terms of mothering, and then also just relationships in general and my own self-knowledge, self-awareness, self-care. So I facilitate mindfulness now in a couple different settings, different school settings, and also places where people are incarcerated. I've done it at TRICAP in Saginaw, and looking at doing it at a juvenile care center, and then have done it with students. So it's kind of a wide range. It really applies to anybody. And along with that, I also am the program director for YWCA Great Lakes Bay Region, and we facilitate women's empowerment programming and women's economic empowerment programming to support women who are working to build stability in their lives. And in the program that we do facilitate, it's called Getting Ahead. Comes from the work of Ruby Payne, who wrote Framework for Poverty. And one of the 11 resources that we work to build and support women with is emotional resources, and mindfulness is definitely a key piece for that. And I will just say, before Rick and you move on here, that it's something that we're already practicing, all of us at some point anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So bringing the practices more in our lives and seeing what they can, how they can benefit us, and creating more space for that can only help us.
Yes, yeah. Well, thank you. Welcome, Ms. Chanel.
Hi guys, same sentiments. It's great to be here with you guys. Very exciting, So yeah, I'm Chanel, 24-year-old performing artist and mentor. I'm a recent graduate of Alma College. Graduated last year with a bachelor's in dance and theater, concentration and choreography and performance. It's interesting that we're bringing up mindfulness because I feel that dance has sort of brought that for me. I started dance as a leisure activity as well as a coping mechanism for release. I was going through a lot about 14 years ago. It's been about 14 years since I started. It taught me how to be a better person, how how to, but like words. Not only how to be a better person, but like how to be my truest self.
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
to really come from a vulnerable place in dance, and in order to do that, you kind of really have to be able to look at yourself and do so freely and boldly. And yeah, it's been a joy to create, because that's how I found my niche and everything, through choreography. That's the start of it all. And even to this day, it's what I'm doing now. I recently started up a COVID compliance community dance project, allowing people who have experience or don't have experience to participate in some dancing, get people up and moving, because I understand that dance is healing. It's a big thing for me, and I'm trying to do my best to spread that joy and spread that love for the passion of the arts. So yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I appreciate you both. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm really excited to talk about this because it's just so important right now. Like what I said before, I brought you guys on. It is so much going on right now. And I know even for myself, like today, I felt very fatigued. And I'm like, I have not done anything to feel so tired. And it's just so much going on. And then, of course, with the seasons change. So, I really like to, you know, give people ways to deal with life, because a lot of times people don't learn these different things. And mindfulness is such an important thing to me because I don't think that a lot of people take time to smell the roses, as they say, right? We're always so busy. Our society is just rush, 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 go, 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 almost to where it's kind of like sickening. It's just like we don't really, we don't try to encourage rest. Sometimes we don't encourage people to take a moment. Everything is, if you're not moving fast and you're not doing anything and you're not, it's this mentality that we feed to each other. So I really want to take a moment and focus on this. And then of course I've had dancers on here before, and I want to have another dancer, because dance for me has been such a gift. I mean, it is a treasure, because depending on how I feel depends on the music. I mean, as I stated to you guys, I can go from I like some country, I like some classical, I like, of course, R&B. I love some trap music. It depends on what I'm trying to do. If I'm trying to, hustle and grind, I may throw on some trap music
Yes,
because
girl.
that's my motivation. So anyway, with that said, I mean, I ain't trapping over here, but I'm just saying it's the music that motivates. But um,
Yeah.
but I just wanted to just kind of bring these balances on here so we can talk about it. So, Amy, I want you to go ahead and just kind of open up with what mindfulness is. Like, because we talk about it a lot, and a lot of times people don't really understand what being mindful or what the act or art of mindfulness meditation is.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and first, I feel like mindfulness, we can talk about it and we are, but bringing us into an experience of it really brings it home. So I just like to start there and just invite us all to just kind of notice, like, how am I feeling right now in my body? Can I bring my attention just to notice, how am I breathing? What does my breath feel like as I breathe? And as you bring your attention into your breath, also notice your shoulders. Just see how your shoulders feel right now. You need to roll them or relax them. You can do that. And mindfulness can be done, with your eyes open, your eyes closed. It's just bringing awareness to the here and the now, to what we're experiencing. And you'll also hear it that it's with non judgment, but I like to call it gentle curiosity. You can bring your attention deeper into the breath, maybe even a hand on the heart. Just really feel what it feels like to breathe. So, if you're listening, you may or may not have gotten distracted during that, but that's a very basic mindfulness practice of just being aware of what's here, right now. So, that's one practice. There's many different kinds of ways you can do it. Like you said, smell the roses, paying attention to different senses, paying attention to sensations in your body. Especially helpful if you're in a reactive state, or like you're saying, like, I just don't have a lot of energy, and kind of noticing like what's going on inside. What do I need right now? Do I need a drink of water? Do I need to lay down? Do I need to speak something to somebody? Do I need to get support because I'm not even sure what I need right now? But it's taking a few moments of space. And when people are highly reactive for whatever reason, um, it doesn't feel like there's any space. It's like this. The stimulus and the response are like this. They can feel like they're one. And when we practice mindfulness, we can create some space between them to be able to slow down that reaction and actually turn it into a thoughtful response, based on what we actually need and want to get out of the situation. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. Yeah. Can be very calming, and it can just be very insightful to be able to have that space with ourselves and see, okay, what kind of thoughts are here? What kind of emotions are here? Like, what's my inner landscape like? And I will say, I like to always mention this when we're talking about mindfulness, that there's like a little bit of a caveat in terms of when we're bringing our attention to ourselves. If we've experienced trauma, if we're not in a safe environment, we're not safe people, we might experience a heightening of that sense of not being safe. And if you do, you get anxious, or it starts to feel uncomfortable. That's important to get some support, because there is a lot of support out there. People either facilitating mindfulness or therapists who can help you create that safe space to explore those uncomfortable feelings, such that you can process through them, because they can be a little bit trapped. And I just want to give that to people when I share this. And keeping eyes open can be helpful for that, or like being out in nature where you just have a more sense of your surroundings. Sometimes closed eyes meditation or mindfulness doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah. 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 No, I appreciate that. I one thing for me that I always try to tell people when it comes to mindfulness is, just being present, right? Because a lot of times we are not present. I know for me sometimes, I'm doing one thing and I'm literally like thinking about 15 other things effectively. Like I can visualize and see all of these 15 things, but I'm missing out on that moment, right? So I mean, what do you guys think in regards to that present? Do you think that we miss that a lot in regards to being present at that moment in our life? Because for me, I always feel like we miss out on so much because we're constantly in the past or the future, right? And never really in the right now. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, we certainly can. Go ahead, Chanel.
I a lot for sure. I mean, definitely being present, like a moment to take appreciation for the now, right? You have the opportunity to experience the now. Just take a second to hear that, like the opportunity to experience the now. We are so focused on the things that have happened or things that are going to happen or what we're trying to plan for, that life kind of happens. They say, like, as you're planning for life, life actually is happening and it's getting away from you, right? You don't want to spend too much of your time focused on everything else, that you're forgetting to actually live. It's important. It teaches you. It teaches you about yourself. It helps you find yourself truthfully. You start to ask yourself bigger questions. You start to dig deeper into your spirituality, whatever that means for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Amy, thank you. Chanel.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have so much vying for our attention these days. I mean, I'm 44, so like I grew up without the internet.
Yeah,
And
exactly right.
and I know what it was like.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
we have so much vying for our attention, Yeah, and I also have like news 4 times a day instead of constant. So, uh, the practice of being mindful, being aware, pulling our attention back, bringing it home. Like, it's ours. It's like one of our personal currencies, truthfully. And um, mindfulness really, for me, it is an art, an act of coming home to ourselves, just like you said, Chanel, in terms of just being here right now and having that, like, oh, this is what I'm feeling right now. And then we can um, more consciously, more effectively, more collaboratively, creatively interact with the world around us. And this aspect of our awareness is always present. It's just often overlooked.
Yes.
It's like I like to think of it when I'm sharing mindfulness with people and I say, okay, here's what's going to happen. You're going to get distracted because I'm going to invite you to focus on your breath. How many times have we been told to pay attention or take a deep breath? Well, if you're really on fire, taking a deep breath might just fan the flames.
Right.
I mean, I know that anyway. People would tell me, I'd be like, or pay attention. We're taught to pay attention outside of ourselves. So mindfulness is bringing it back inside and bringing it just into that feeling place allows us to anchor our attention in a different way than we're used to. And it's always available. Nobody can take that away.
Yeah.
They don't really give it to us. We just point each other to it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for that. It's very interesting because one thing, I want to talk about with you guys and Amy, as you guys can add on to this, of course, is when we talk about mindfulness and being present, we use these soft voices, right? Because it is very calming. But one thing I like to point out is that some of it can get really ugly and hard, right? When you're being present, because a lot of times we have learned to not be present because sometimes being present hurts, right? Sometimes it's painful when we're present in the right now. So we've learned to escape it by using technology, by doing something else, by thinking about 15 other things, or by eating, or by whatever else that we use to cope with what's going on right now. So I like to talk about that part too of it, the part that can be stressful, as you talked about it, where you feel like you're on fire, right? Because when you are digging deep, when you are coming back into yourself, and it's kind of almost like shadow work, and I won't get into all of that, but it's that idea of you seeing the realness, right? The real you, the authentic you, everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, and so when you are in that state of mindfulness, those parts of you show as well, right? So what do you guys think about that? Because that part is hard, and I like to always let people know that when you're doing this work, when you truly are meditating, and when you truly are, like you said, Amy, coming back to yourself, seeing yourself, being at one with yourself, some parts of that is not pretty at first, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you
100%.
guys think
Chanel,
about
do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. I think it's important to recognize actually what's happening, kind of take a step back. When you are in your feelings or you find yourself in your feelings, in that presentness and being aware, take a step back. Don't try not to feel the feelings, if that makes sense, as you should process them first. You know what I mean? Analyze what's happening, analyze those feelings, as opposed to just like sitting in them, right? Because the first step is to recognize what's happening in order to allow it to process in its own like authentic way. Because sometimes we get too rattled. We get too rattled in everything that's happening, and especially if we're feeling a lot of things. Like myself, I I get really anxious, as you can see. So dance for me personally has been a channeling mode to release and express all of that.
it?
It's a way to be present. It's teaching me to be in my breath, to be in the space, to be in my body, to be in my spirit, and to let go, but also to be in it. And
Yeah,
that is in like I can't remember the word, but like, yeah, the juxtaposition of having a duality that sort of wants to contradict itself but yet simultaneously exists.
yeah, yeah,
Amazing.
yeah. No, I'm picking up what you're putting down for sure. No, I definitely agree with that. No, because I love dance, and anybody, I mean, that has known me for any amount of time knows that dance is like my thing, my go-to. And it just used to always be, especially like when I was going through certain times in my life, that was literally a release for me. I literally would turn on my music, and my children, and when they were young, they knew it was kind of like they just left me alone. They didn't bother me. I see parents sometimes where the kids constantly they just kind of knew this is her time, even when they were young. And I would just be in a zone. You hear me? Like zone completely out. And, I would cry. I would, say what I needed to say. And I mean, it was just, it got ugly. So, I mean, it was that ugly, that ugly cry that just is like gross and stuff is coming down. And,
Yes.
but it was so, but once it was done, I just felt so free, you know. So I always encourage people to be at one with yourself. And you know, and in those moments, sometimes you do have to feel, you do have to feel it. You have to feel what, and that's a part of that being present. Like, this hurts right now, and being, you know, feeling okay to say, wow, I am not feeling good right now, or that really hurt me, you know, when that person said that, or wow, I did not like the way that made my heart feel. Like, you know, it's okay for us to acknowledge that. What do you think about it, Amy?
Yeah, absolutely. And everybody's process of this is going to be unique, and yeah, there's like
Yeah.
these similarities, you know, these threads that go through it, I think. Um, in being able to bring our awareness to it, like you said, to what we're feeling, what we're noticing in terms of what we're thinking, the sensations in our bodies, uh, and noticing that maybe that tendency to move away or to feel like it's just too overwhelming.
Yeah.
I don't have the capacity. I have no idea even how to do this.
Right.
You know, um, that can be insightful in itself. And then I guess I just want to say to anybody who listens to this, like, it is possible, because I didn't think it was until I started practicing, like, to process through really, you know, strong tears and sadness, grief, anger. I thought I was, but I was getting caught in it, kind of like what you're talking about, I think, Chanel. And it wasn't until I was actually on a coaching call with someone who was very present and could sense at a point where I needed to be able to release emotionally and held enough space for me to do so. I actually got a little bit dizzy the first time I actually breathed through an emotion, let that wave through my body, let the breath move it instead of what we often have done, probably because of in childhood somebody wasn't able to be present with us. Maybe they told us even to stop it, or worse, when we were crying. Maybe we were alone and it was, you know, we're a very feeling person, or we're just a little kid, and like, you just don't know how to process your emotions.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
9. Anyways, yeah, that's real. I'm just glad you brought it up, because I think we're too hard on ourselves sometimes about
Yes.
that, and we're humans. Like, we have emotions and they move, and um sometimes they don't feel like they do move, but if we can slow it down enough, just enough, just to just to feel, just to be present, just to feel the breath. Notice where it's at. Like, am I feeling it here? Am I feeling it here right now? You know? Or do I need to shake it out or dance or whatever, or like go like this? I mean, I remember when I used to get frustrated with my kids and I was really trying to transform anger with them. I would be like, you know, like, I just move my arms all around. I wasn't trying to hurt anybody, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
needed to get that moving, because
Yes.
I didn't have like if I bottled it up, it was just bad. And
Yeah.
Right.
you know, and so the combination of movement is really so helpful if that's something that somebody needs. But that first willingness to just give yourself the space to
Yeah.
slow down and to pay attention and to honor and bring compassion, because these parts of us, I mean, if you look at it that way, we've always been the same being in this body, but like, that's all there, all that unprocessed stuff. It's there until it's met with some sort of awareness and space and compassion, um, through, you know, breath, focus, movement, whatever that is.
No, yeah, no, that's real. That's real. You know, and wow, you know, that really resonated with me when you talked about how sometimes it does sit in pits of you, right? I mean, where you can feel, and that's the part that people don't understand. And this is another reason why I like to talk about this, because all of this inner emotional, spiritual things that we are trying to process, they can manifest physically within our body, right? And that's where sickness
Yes.
and different things come from, right? At times, that's one of the ways it can kind of form in our body. So you know, when you talk about how it sits there and it can hurt, you can feel those pains. I've had that where you could be so, like you said, grieving so much, or just angered so much, or hurt, whatever, or even excited. You know, I get excited and I get all, you know, sometimes if I'm very anxious about something, very excited, my body gets all weird. People look like, calm down, you know. It can just kind of manifest that way. So I just always encourage people to, as you say, get it out how you can. You know, we are all our own individual selves, right? And even if you have to, like, if you schedule time, like, okay, every morning I get up, I'm just going to try to sit here and do this. You know, of course, we want it to kind of like organically happen as you feel it, but sometimes you have to kind of train, right? That muscle memory, kind of get yourself trained to start doing certain things. Or, you know, every day at, I don't know, 11:11, you look around and see what's going on, you know, what's happening right now. What do you feel? What do you see? You know, every day you just do that, until you start saying, oh, and then your body will start just kind of doing it on its own, to where you train yourself to be a little bit more aware of what's going on around you. It's just so interesting. A lady almost got hit by a car the other day, and I'm kind of giggling about it, but it's really not that funny. But it just blows my mind how this lady is on her phone. She's looking down, has no idea what's happening around her. Like a car was literally coming toward, like, lady, look up. You know, and it's just interesting how in today's time, Amy, as you talked about earlier, this demand that society has on us, where people are just not aware of their, even their surroundings, which is so interesting because I grew up in the city. So, like, you know, we always, I mean, you look around all the time, you're always constantly looking, because you just got to look around. You just don't know, you know. And then when you move to different places, you know, where it's a little slower, you kind of don't do that as much anymore. So anyway, you know, I really appreciate what you said, Amy, about how, you know, it can settle that way. And sometimes you do have to move, or you do have to cry, or you do have to shake it up, whatever you need to do to release that. Shanae, I want you to kind of talk to us a little bit more about how you know, kind of that those moments where you figured out that you needed to, how you kind of happened upon dance, you know, because you realized that it was helping you in your life.
I mean, it's interesting. It came out of a place of boredom to a degree, right? I mean, I grew up in a dense populated area, and music was everywhere. So, you know, whether or not you were like a dancer, everybody was moving, honey. So,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
like, dancing was always an element of life for me. There was an opportunity to join a competition, and that was a mode that I took to, like, give myself something to do, and also a means to express what I was feeling. Because at the age of like 10 or 11, it's really hard to verbalize things or find the right vocabulary to express what you're feeling and then have it be accurate, right? So I'm
Yeah.
like, where I couldn't put words to things, I could express it through my body. And that allowed a sort of release that I never even understood that I could tap into. And something about being on that stage and being vulnerable and being present, and what's happening in the moment of that music, and allowing your body to be the vessel for the steps that you're going to do.
Yeah.
There's something altering to that. There's something special that I found in that personally. It put me on the path to personal alignment. Like, it helped me realize how, like, out of tune with myself I was, and through dance, how to find that again. It Yeah. Oh. I don't know.
No,
Like,
no, no. Sometimes the magic that happens in our lives is hard to put it into words, right? I mean, we
for
experience
sure, for
it,
sure.
and it's so hard to put it into words. You know, you try to tell somebody about it because you're just so excited about it, but you just, the words just don't convey, right, what you actually went through that experience. You know, and that kind of leads me to the next point, you know, in regards to the open dialogue. You know, I'm a big encourager of, like, being transparent and just kind of being clear, right, with our words. And, you know, sometimes I have often been, you know, accused of being too direct, aggressive, or you know, I don't, angry, I guess. I don't know. But my face does this sometimes when I think, and I'm not angry. It's just what it does when I think and when I talk. But
Yes,
people
yes.
will people translate that as anger, when really it's not. It's just my brain is actually processing and thinking. But you know, but I try to be really clear about what I have to say to people. You know, and that's a part of my release, and that's also a part of my being in that moment. Like right now, you know, if I don't want to deal with something, I'll say no. You know, and sometimes people see no as a negative, you know, and it's like, no, no doesn't have to be a negative. It's just what it is. I don't want to do it right now, but we've been taught that, I just think about even as children, you get taught that you can't say no to things, you have to just do it. I mean, I even think about, and this is kind of a different topic, but it's the same to me, in regards to, finishing up everything on your plate, right? Where it's this idea that, you couldn't get up. I mean, I have many a days where I sat, couldn't, get up because I didn't finish eating something. My mother didn't actually do it. It was somebody else, but where I had to sit there until and I didn't like the food, right? And it's this idea that as a child, I was not given the grace to say, this is something she just doesn't like. She doesn't like to take the sound of this, right? I mean, the taste of this. So why are we forcing her to eat it? But as adults, we, speak up for yourself. But as kids, we suppress that in children. I mean, what do you guys think about that? Because I have a lot that I think about in regards to how we train humans to not speak up for themselves, which leads to a very unhealthy place later in life. So, Amy, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, something I've been working on for 20 years with my family. So I got lots of thoughts about that. I believe in choice. I believe in, respecting children as inherently valuable beings like everybody else. So as far as we get a lot of training, and it takes a lot. I'm just going to tie in a couple of things you said a little bit ago about getting that space to kind of practice this in calm, to bring it into your life, because or find your groove or whatever it is that helps you and nourishes you when it's not intense. Because to be able to change the ways that we communicate based on how we were reared and our family patterns and whatever we kind of culminated from those experiences, it really does require us to not only be self-aware, but self-reflect and self-care.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the foundation of any kind of change that we want to bring about in terms of doing that differently. And I think about that a lot as a mom, it's I think you talked about, maybe it was earlier, humbling. It was before the show, but anyways, we're looking at our, go ahead.
Just okay. No, you're fine. It's sort of a humbling experience, right? You get so caught up in the subjective that the objective, once you pay attention to, you're like, oh wait, I need to check myself really quick, right? It's really easy to get caught up in ego in the various ways that can manifest itself, right, emotionally. Being present is not only just allowing that to happen, but also knowing how to not hold it, right? So let it come in, but also let it out. It's a channel, it's a cycle, right? So in and release, inhale, exhale, same, concept, but on, I guess, a more energetic or spiritual, emotional level, so to speak. I mean, for me, it's interesting. I didn't personally have that experience of where my voice was stifled. My parents were big on us being outspoken. Both of my parents are marginalized individuals, so they understand what it's like to have their voice be oppressed by a more dominant community or more dominant society where they're not the people who culminate that society in majority. So as kids growing up with my siblings and I, we were, express yourself. Don't let it, don't hold yourself back, right? Kind of that'll definitely bite you a little bit as you're growing up, right? Because the kids, we can be reckless. There's no filter. You don't, you're like, it's like, okay, I'm done. That's not what we meant. But it was a perfect opportunity to play with a foundation at an early age before you could reach that maturity to refine it and understand what it is that you're actually doing, right? It's paying attention to yourself and knowing how to properly convey that to if that be a person or even just to the surrounding area. It makes all the difference.
Yeah. No, you're You hit that right on the head, because it's about balance, right? And then also this goes back to mindfulness. When you are in a state of awareness, right, and you understand what's going on right now, what you're feeling. Amy, as you spoke, what do you feel? How does this making you feel right now? Where are you at presently mentally, right? You're able to communicate, no, I don't want to do that, in a calm way, as opposed to not being aware, letting it build up, right? And then it comes out like a rocket, you saying, hell no, I don't want to do it. And you telling everybody off and storming off, right? So it's a balance where you can still say no, but in a healthy way for yourself, and how people take it is truly up to them at the end of the day. But we do have some control into how we convey how we feel, right? Even in that state of awareness. So Amy, I wanted you to were you finished with your thought on that? Because I know you were kind of going somewhere. You may have lost the thought, which is okay. It happens to the best of us.
Something came to me just now about being able to identify feelings and needs. It's so huge.
Yeah.
Because in relationship, if you look at like nonviolent communication and other just different kind of communication skills, being able to clearly communicate, to collaborate and have healthy relationship that doesn't have all the dysfunctional factors, or less of them, maybe.
Yeah.
We're all still human. But being able to identify what I am feeling, to understand that anger can be powerlessness, and it can also be that kind of sacred rage, righteousness, whatever, that like there's something wrong here.
Yeah.
And honoring that in yourself, and then being able to, and this is like multi-level, I guess, skills.
Yeah.
Recognize that this person, there may not have been an intention here for harm, but then other times there is, and sometimes there's still something you need to be able to talk about, to be able to clear that up, so that people understand each other. And if we can understand our own feelings, our own needs, and then start to know how to meet them, or meet them in conjunction with the people that are in our lives, like it opens up a whole lot and brings a lot more functionality to our communication and relationships. Because we all know what it feels like to be in a blameful state, or a state where we just feel like we have no power to do anything. That's an awful place to be. But the first way that we can really shift that is to be able to bring that compassion to ourselves, and identify what's going on with us, and at least honor ourselves, and then work from there. And teaching our kids to do that, modeling, just opening the space, and cultivating that with them, and humbling ourselves is huge. And with each other in our adult relationships too, there's obviously space for humbling in all spaces.
Yes. Yes. And just that, clear communication, and also respecting what a person has said, right? And even within yourself, right? Respecting what you like. Once you make that declaration, once you say, this is where I'm at with this, respect that and be okay with it. Because I am the number one overthinker. Like if you put, overthinker, looked it up, it's me. I am an overthinker. And I had to teach myself to be okay with being okay, right? With it, like, okay, I'm good with this. And I had to teach myself that, because I am that person that will wake up at 3 a.m, like, did they really take that? Where I start to rethink how someone took something, because I know I can be often misunderstood, because I can be very serious, but I also could be very playful, but I can be playful in a very serious way. I kind of like messed up that way, I guess, where I could I have like a different type of sense of humor. So sometimes people that don't know me, I can have a very serious face and tell jokes or have fun, and people take it the wrong way. And so and I know that about myself. So I try to be very cautious of that with people who are new to this scene here. This, this person. It's like, I have to be very cautious of that. But again, just being okay with what you're saying, we have to be at that point, because I used to be the kind of person that, if I felt like they harmed me in some kind of way and just kept doing it, I would just cut them off. Like, I was the kind of person that would be like, sure, I'm good on you, and never really deal with it. but just be done. Like number out the phone, blocked every like you are no longer in my life. And that was something that, I realized that it could be good for me at times, but also toxic because I never really dealt with the whys, right? I didn't tell you to deal with the why behind the why. So I never would really deal with that. So I learned that I had to be very clear with what was hurting me, what was impacting me, and understand, like you said, Amy, about being present with, okay, this is how I feel right now. This is what's going on right now. Why do I feel like that? Why, when they said that, why did that make me feel? What triggered? What like kind of aroused or rose up into me, and made me feel this way? What did that? What was this thing that the explosive that did that? So once I started doing that and realizing that a lot of it went back to me, like how I received it, or how I perceived it, or how I, what was going on within myself already. And then when they said it, that just ticked me off. Like, okay, I'm good on you. And really, and some people do have very evil intent and some people can be nasty, but a lot of times I realized that it was the way I was allowing it to impact me, right? Because people can say things and I would be like, now I'm like, oh, he just crazy, or he just, going through something, or maybe, and then I realized, oh, well, maybe this person is going through this in life, so I'll give him a little grace, but I had to get to that point where I can keep moving forward. So you guys can talk about this, just that idea of being okay with what you're saying and what's going on, and just being honest, because sometimes it's us. We don't realize, we don't want to say that it's us. We're the toxic ones sometimes. We're the one that's, going through something sometimes, and just being honest about that. What do you guys think about that?
It's really important to be authentic, right? Let it be, live and let it be. If you mess up, right? It's a journey, that's going to come with, like, the bumps in the roads, the trials and the tribulations, but they are meant to make you a more stronger overall person, equipping you with the wisdom to allow your personal spirit to do its best work.
Yeah, but what do you think in regards to us, like, kind of embracing the other side of us? Because a lot of times we're able to point out other people, right? Where we can say, this person is that, or this person is this, or this person is mean, or this person is nasty, or this, but a lot of times we don't really want to do any type of self inspection, and that's where I had to get to that's what I'm saying in regards to embracing that part, that wait a minute, you were the one that took that wrong. You were the one that already had some past stuff you were dealing with, right? You were the one that had some past pains that you were dealing with. So when that person said that, whatever their intent was, you took it a certain way because you had stuff that you hadn't processed and dealt with, and really purged and released yet within your life, right? So that's another part of this thing, is that, while we are, kind of being aware of everything with around us, back to what you were saying, Amy, being aware of what's going on within. People don't understand, man. When you start doing that inner work,
Yes,
baby,
reflection.
it is no joke. It is no joke. But you grow so much, you evolve so much, because you start to see that, wait a minute, some of this is me. What do you think, Amy? What do you
Oh,
think?
absolutely. So there's
A lot
a
of it
man,
is me.
a man that I appreciate very much, Satori Seals, and he says, if you own it, you can change it,
Yes.
which is huge. Of course, that first piece is that ownership, right? As you just
Yes.
said. And for all the ways I've fought myself in my life,
Hmm.
I-
Hmm.
it is so healing,
Yeah.
so humbling. uh yeah, there's just a lot of catharsis in being able to acknowledge, like, this is my part in this. And, like, maybe that part is from a really hurt part and you don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
There's
Mhm.
trauma in there and it's doing things, and reactions are happening and you don't even know why. I say this kind of stuff because this is what happened to me, and I was like,
Mhm.
why am I acting like this? Like, why am I mad at my kids when, like, they're kids? What
Yeah.
yeah, you hear society kind of like perpetuates this idea that kids are annoying, but I don't believe that. Like, most of the time kids are not trying to be annoying and they're just kids,
Right.
and
Right.
or whatever. But, like, that's not it. That's not where it's at. It's at what's going on in me, and how well, um or how willing, not even well, but, like, willing. Because and you can't get awareness wrong. We're inherently aware
Right.
beings. We
Right.
have love and our like love is our soul. If that's what I believe anyway.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
come from love. We come from compassion, from grace, from space, and when we're willing to just, you know, slow it down, take some
Yeah.
space, um, and then take that ownership piece. I kind of, it wasn't always easy for me to do that all the time, but once I did, I started to have so much more freedom in my own body, my breath, my life, freedom to choose differently, which is
Yeah.
huge, you know?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you can also like go into a situation and go like, oh, this is my piece. This is their piece. Okay, do I need to communicate anything to that person about their piece that, like, because it's still affecting me or whatever? Or do I just need to go deal with my piece?
Right.
And then you don't have like, you can take away like enmeshment as well, which is so important because we can't really be free in ourselves when we're all like, this with other people.
Yes, yes, that's so true. And I like what you said about my piece and their piece because sometimes you do realize that their piece is still like not a part of you, like it's over there, and it's up to you to choose if you ingest, right, if you take it in, because it can stay over there. And I think the more work I did on myself, I realized that I don't know. I'm just so free of like what people say and do because it's like, oh, that's just them, right? I
Right.
mean, that's their thing, right? That's not really my responsibility to process through that, And I being an overthinker, I had to process through everything, okay, where everything had to make sense, or what was my part in this? What did I say? How did that make, and it'll drive you nuts. It'll drive you nuts. So I had to learn that, if I go into everything with good intentions. These are my good intentions. I mean them well. I truly wish them well. And what I'm saying is honest, and I'm trying to say it in love. After that, I mean, I have to release it, right? So one thing that I used to do, and I did it with some students before too, was I had them write down things that weighed them down, or that kind of made them upset, or things that hurt them, and we rolled them all down on a piece of paper and would put them in the earth, right? And kind of like so we would have some flowers one time too, where we put the flowers and we planted, like, put the bulb and stuff in there with the piece, right? And I was letting them know that in life, kind of put it, release it, write it down, release it, let it go, and watch, you will bloom, you'll grow, right? And that was the idea, that once these flowers kind of came up, it was this idea of kind of letting it go, freeing it. I know people release balloons and stuff. I don't do don't do all that, but I'm a very earthy person, so I believe that being at one with the earth and saying, you know what, this is where I am right now. This is hurting me. This is what I need to release. Write it down, put it in the earth, put that flower in there, and as you see it grow, that's you. You're flourishing, because the more and more we release, the more and more we let go, and the more we're honest with ourselves and say, listen, I was a jerk when I said that. That was not nice when I said that. I was going through something. I owe that person an apology. Once we're more and more kind of honest with that, and doing that self-work, I think that we grow, we flourish and we shine brighter, because we don't have so much weighing us down. What's your
Yes.
what's your thought on that, Chanel? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's freeing. It really is freeing. Like reflecting is revealing, and that revealing is healing. Honestly,
Yeah. Yeah.
like that's really the truth of it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, wow, that just really sad. Like words. I don't have them.
No, it's okay. It's okay. You know
Mm.
what? I have plenty for the both of us. No, I'm kidding. I talk too much sometimes. This is a really passionate. I'm really passionate about this subject because self awareness is so important, and I think so many people. I talk about this all the time. I think sexual awareness, self awareness. So many people walk through life and never ever tap into that. They never tap into such a freeing conversation and way of life.
Yes, like that's exactly what it is. It's freeing, right? Allowing to accept that that's what it is. Like it's a universal truth, something that you can't change. Allowing yourself to take control over the agency of that awareness is freeing. It's
Yeah.
entirely freeing. Like I don't have control over everything. I just don't. That's just the nature of it. However, I have control over what I do have control over, and whatever that means for each individual. And
Right.
I know that I can do my absolute best for the things that I can do. And for me, I'm like, my big motto is, leading life with love, laughter, realness, wisdom, and understanding. It's
Yeah.
important, right?
Yeah.
I'm a big vessel. I'm big on spreading joy. That's what I've learned in my personal journey. That's what I feel like my energy is here to do. It's
Yeah.
to tap in and help radiate others and help get them blooming and help get them going. Like there's so much going on in the world right now.
Yes.
More of those positive light forces to be there and be comforting, be consoling, and to let people know, like, hey, we got this. We've been
Yeah.
through a hell of a lot in our species, and we can continue to rise above.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We will continue to rise above and evolve and just keep going. Yes. Amy, you look like you had something that you wanted to share as well.
Oh, it's just so much here.
Yeah,
And yeah, one moment at a time,
yeah.
healing ourselves, being present with ourselves, healing our relationships, repairing. Um, yeah, it's
And
it's it's
that
it's
starts with
important.
us.
It's
Yeah, and
important
it
work.
starts with us. Yeah, it starts with yourself, man. People don't understand, everybody wants to fix everybody else. And it's like, I promise you, I promise, if you start with yourself, you will be surprised on how different relationships with others will be once you have a true relationship with self. Because a lot of people do not. A lot of people walk through life like the Walking Dead. They're really not aware and alive. A lot of people just kind of are floating around, and just kind of doing the motions of life. So this is something that, I just encourage people to, again, as you spoke about, Amy, being mindful in the present, be mindful of what's going around you. How do you feel? That was a big thing for me when I started really practicing mindfulness, was how do I feel right now? Like in this moment, I don't care if you at work and you need to go to the bathroom and close the bathroom stall and just sit there and say, okay, that person just really pissed me off, what they said, that my boss was really rude to me, or the whatever. I mean, it happens. It's real life. At work, people say things and you want to explode. You go and you say, okay, how do I feel? Why do I feel like that? Why does this person feel like they've been given permission to speak to me this way? It's a lot of things that go back to us when we start looking at, because a lot of times we allow people to treat us how they treat us, right? Once we start learning how to treat ourselves, then we are able to train others. They will see it's a reflection. Okay. So, a
Right.
lot of times, yeah. So that's what I started doing. I started taking it back to myself. How did this person get it confused? Or how did I give them the okay, the permission to speak to me this way? And then when I started thinking back, I said, oh, okay, well, that one time they said something, I didn't say anything. Or that one time they said this, I kind of laughed it off. So I gave them permission. I told them it was okay to speak to me a certain way. So I had to go back and say, okay, why do I feel like I can't, be honest with this person? So it all goes back to me, right? And once I started kind of working through that and realized, then you make corrections and you start saying, wait a minute, I'm better than that. You know what I'm saying? A person can't speak to me this way. I am this. And you start giving yourself self-affirmation, right? Giving those affirmations, and that reflection will change. Trust me, people will start to treat you differently once you learn how to treat yourself.
It's
I
true.
mean, do you guys think that's
I do.
I'm
Yeah.
rambling
I
on?
agree. I mean, I always, and it's something that I see to a lot of people in my life currently. They probably say I'm annoying for it, but hey, I'm just speaking the truth and I'm just here to love you. But like, I say, like, we will have endless opportunities to experience. And because of that, there will be endless opportunities to grow. And that again it's freeing, right? It's like, okay, I have more. I'll always have another opportunity, or there's another opportunity, even if it's a minimal one, to work on things, to work on
Yeah,
something,
yeah,
right? Pay attention to yourself, be in yourself, and like, okay, what has this brought about? What have these feelings brought about? Or what haven't they brought about? Right? Sometimes we're like, oh wait, this has only done this, but like what has this prevented too? Right? Because there
yeah.
is a balance to everything. Being able to see
Oh
both
yeah,
sides of it and
yeah,
being able to not like falter one way or another, but to sit right in the middle and be like, okay, I can see both.
yeah.
And that'll give you like the best path to move forward. Promise, I promise.
No, it's very
That is some straight wisdom right there. I was going to
yes,
say right
yes,
there.
yeah.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
no, that's truth, man. Like how you said, balance. And that just that. I don't know, and we're ever evolving, right? This is an ongoing thing. This is nothing that we none of us conquer. I mean, one thing that people always say is that the more and more I learn, I realize I know nothing. The more as much as I think I know, I realize I don't know anything. And we're just constantly learning, and that's why this thing is ever moving. And that's why you have to constantly be, just kind of vigilant and say, you know what? I am going to always be mindful of what's going on around me. And the more you do it, it truly does become muscle memory where you start to really become almost like so aware. You're like, wow. I mean, you really, it's almost like an alternative reality or something. You know what I mean? It's like this. I
Yeah,
don't
you got a
know.
couple extra eyes. Like, I seen all of that. Hold up.
Oh, yes.
Yes,
Yes.
so much, so
I'm
much.
so
Well,
perceptive
I
of,
mean,
yes. Yep.
yeah, we're getting to closing, but I want you guys to leave us with a couple words because I just really appreciate this conversation. This is really something that is really dear to my heart because again, self-awareness and self-discovery is such a beautiful thing. And I truly believe so many people live their whole lives and never really discover themselves. They really don't, and I think it's just a societal thing too, where, society teaches us that, women shouldn't do this and men shouldn't do that. So we become these, we become trapped. You become trapped within this vessel. Yeah. So Chanel, you have any closing words that you would like to leave us with?
Yeah, I mean, reflect, do the work. You can only benefit. It's going to be an interesting journey, is what I'll say. To say
Yes.
the least, like, it'll be an interesting journey, but I promise you, it'll be one that's really rewarding.
Yeah.
As a trans person, that's something that I emulate. It's big, like that's been a big thing for me, being able to sit in myself as a person, as a spirit.
Yeah.
Feel in tune, feel my energy, feel my frequency, feel where I'm vibrating from, and understand what all that comes with, what all that means, and like just how to be, but
Yeah.
how to be freely.
Yes.
Do the
Yeah.
work. It's worth it.
And you're beautiful, and that's the thing is that we're allowed to be who we are. You know what I mean? It's like we are free, and that's one thing. When I do talks with students, that's one thing that we always chant at the end. It's like a mantra. Free to be. Period. There's
Yes.
no, we don't have to say free to be this or just free to be. And that's it, and that's it in a nutshell. So thank you so much, Nell, for that. Amy, do you have any closing words for us?
Sure. I just want to say it's never too late to come home to yourself. You didn't go very far away. I promise.
Yeah.
You know, all you gotta
Yeah.
do is just bring it home right here, right now, in the moment. I know it's easier than it seems. Or I mean, I don't know if I said that quite right, but it's easier than it might seem at times when it's hard. How about that?
Yeah.
And yet, like, we don't leave ourselves very far away when we do get distracted or overwhelmed or something kind of runs us over like a train.
Yeah.
And the practice builds on itself. It really does, because we want to be one with ourselves. We want to feel the wholeness that is innate. Um, we want to know our truest, deepest essence. And it's never too late. It's always right here. It's always right now. It's always available.
Yeah. 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 And just my little point of advice is, learn how to say okay. I have become the queen of okay. I will okay somebody to death. So, because okay, gotcha, all of that. I mean, and sometimes I really do mean like, oh, gotcha, like, oh, that makes sense. But sometimes it's like, gotcha, okay, cool, no problem. Because, I learned that I spend so much energy in life trying to plead my case or trying to get somebody to see it how I see it or understand it how I understood it. And again, that goes back to ego. I mean, when you sliced it, that goes back to this idea that, how come you just don't understand me? I want you to think like I'm thinking right now because I want you to really get it. And sometimes it's genuine excitement that you want that person to share in what you've learned, but then you have to let that be, and like arguing or going back and forth or trying to convince someone, it's just such a waste. And the more and more you're in tune with yourself, you realize that it's but a blink. Let it go, let it be. Say okay, gotcha, cool, whatever, and keep it moving. And move on with life. So again, I appreciate you guys so much for being on here today. It was awesome. I really appreciate this conversation. I thank you guys for giving your time and doing this, because this is a needed conversation. People need to know how to do this, and I really really hope that people do a little work. And what it said, thanks ladies, need to be reminded a lot of what you expressed. Awesome. Well, I'm so happy that we were able to help with that. That's a beautiful thing, because this is important work, self-discovery, learn yourself, learn what makes you tick, what makes you happy, what makes you sad. Learn all of that, because once you become in tune with self, you have a best friend for life. You can go to the movies by yourself. You can go to a park by yourself. You can go on a trip you'll be surprised how free you feel within self once you become friends with yourself. So thank you. Practice mindfulness, get out there and dance, release, paint, whatever creative juices you need to do to let it out, and learn how to speak up. Speak up to yourself first, and then you'll learn how to speak up to others. So thank you guys so much. I truly appreciate you guys, and I wish you guys a great night.
Thank you so much.
Stay blessed, y'all.
Yes, take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
We break